People have been asking me for a while now, when am I going to talk about limited run games? I guess the answer to that is today. Now, for those of you who don't know, Limited Run Games is a company that releases physical copies of normally digital-only games. So usually we're talking indie games or games released by small studios or games released with a limited run, which is why they're called Limited Run Games. I actually really appreciate their service because, frankly, considering how, the Wii shop went offline recently, the DS shop went offline a few years ago, eventually all of these stores that I've bought online games on will go offline. I don't think Steam's going anywhere on PC, but if it's a console and it's a store, I think they'll be disappearing eventually. Which means that all those games that we've all bought, they're disappearing too. But if you buy them from Limited Run Games, then you have a physical copy. No problem. So I think there's definitely a niche in the market for a company like Limited Run Games, and I also think that they're doing a pretty good service in terms of preserving games that might in the future disappear, unless you pirate them or something. At the same time, it also seems to be common knowledge that Limited Run Games is staffed by purple-haired SJWs, unfortunately. You guys remember when this happened? THQ Nordic holds AMA on image board known for child porn. They're talking about 8chan, by the way, and 8chan wasn't really known for child porn. They did their best to stamp that shit out. It's the same as the mainstream media calling Gab a hate speech platform or an alt-right platform, even though places like Twitter and Facebook also have hate speech and also serve the alt-right. Today, Darksiders publisher THQ Nordic opted to host an Ask Me Anything AMA session to offer its audience an opportunity to have questions about its business and games answered. This would be utterly unremarkable had it not opted to host said AMA on 8chan, an image board known for not safe for work content of all kinds, including hate speech, child pornography, harassment, and abuse. Yeah, see, one of those things is not like the other. But yeah, THQ Nordic said, we're doing an 8chan AMA and we have no idea why. Come join us. So they posted it on V. And they say, the opportunity was here and we took it. We got approached in a very friendly and polite manner and were assured, said person, we'll take care of the nasty stuff. So here we are. So yeah, they saw a forum. It might have been an anonymous forum, but they saw a popular forum devoted to video games and said, you know what, we're releasing a Darksiders game. Let's do an AMA about it. Well, where does Limited Run Games come into this? Well, as it turns out, around the same time as this 8chan AMA, Limited Run Games has been partnered with THQ Nordic to bring the game Red Faction to physical format for the PlayStation 4. It's not even the same game, it wasn't a Darksiders game, it was Red Faction. But nonetheless, this earned the ire of the idiots over at Reset Era. And posting on Reset Era, Limited Run Games' official account said, to be clear, we are overjoyed to bring Red Faction to physical format. Agreed that it was bad wording for the tweet, and for that we apologize, it should have been clear. We are not overjoyed with THQ Nordic's AMA on 8chan, to say the least, and in no way endorse it. Now, the screeching crybabies on Reset Era are not the main audience of a company like Limited Run Games, but because they're ideologically aligned, that's who they bow to. Oh, by the way, in case you need some evidence of what kind of place Reset Era is, this person got banned for a series of insincere drive-by posts across multiple related threads. And what he said was, do we have any indication of price or release date yet? What this person actually did was, in these various threads on Reset Era about Limited Run Games and THQ Nordic, he refused to jump on the cancel culture bandwagon and simply asked about the games. He wasn't outraged, so he was banned. Now, I personally see no problem with a company like THQ Nordic or any other company running an AMA on a place like 8chan or 4chan or Reddit or Twitter or anywhere else. In my opinion, it's just a forum to talk to fans. The idea that you shouldn't utilize a site because of some kind of political affiliation that is completely unrelated to your own business is just absurd to me. But I mean, here we are. Welcome to 2019. The pressure wasn't just on from Limited Run Games or the SJWs over at Reset Era, however. Here's a Shannon Loftus working for Microsoft Studios, tweeting at THQ Nordic, why do you still have this link up? Know your place, pleb. Get back in your lane. I think what really pissed everyone off, though, was the fact that even though THQ Nordic came out and apologized under all that pressure, during that actual AMA on 8chan, you can tell the person who did it was kind of shitlordy. It was pretty fun. Here's my old acquaintance, Brad Brown, of the webcomics Blaster Nation and Rockcocks, also the 4chan V trip fag of old, Donkey Kong, Now, I talked about him during my video Who I Miss as being an old friend who I've lost to Trump derangement syndrome. And I do say former acquaintance at this point, because since I made that video Who I Miss, he's blocked me. So very quickly, he blocked me because he makes porn comics, and I made the argument to him that being somebody who produces not safe for work content, he should probably be more respectful of free speech rights than he actually is, because free speech rights is the only thing standing between him and unemployment. But I guess since free speech is a conservative position nowadays or something, he blocked me for it. So that's the final end of that friendship. But anyway, back during the whole AMA, he says THQ Nordic, or at least their PR guy, has issued an apology saying they didn't do their research and don't condone the things that 8chan openly celebrates. Here's their actual posts from their AMA. Don't buy that shit for a second. This is the guy who used to revel in 4chan culture. And now that he's had his kicks and he's grown up a little bit, now he's poo-pooing everybody else who engages in it. It's kind of like the hippies who smoke weed and then when they're in their 40s and 50s tell their kids not to smoke weed and they become like super Puritans. It's weird, man. Anyway, because Brad is now an SJW cuck, unfortunately, he links to Patrick Lepik, who has provided these 4 screenshots of that THQ AMA. Please don't censor any games nor appeal to the social justice crowd. You guys are doing fine as is. Thanks, we'll try to stay that way. Admitting that the SJWs are encroaching on gaming and saying that you will resist at all costs, I guess that's worth shaming them publicly for. Where's the big titty lollies at? You got them already, we'd say. Oh no, this is the absolute worst crime you could possibly commit. You know, post a picture of 2 girls who are clothed, by the way, and then they reply with just a nonsense, nothing reply, other than public condemnation and shaming and, oh, how dare you! THQ didn't clutch their pearls hard enough. Yeah, Brad, I have no idea how you can endorse this. You draw porn, for fuck's sake. But back on the main point, Limited Run Games ended up throwing THQ Nordic under the bus when cancel culture came for them, unfortunately, because, you know, I like Limited Run Games. I have a copy on PS4 of Night Trap. I really enjoyed the fact that they announced all of the old Star Wars games, like the N64 Shadows of the Empire, other games like that, to be coming to Limited Run Games. You know, they've done some pretty good work. But, you know, I kind of forgot about them until this. This just went down like yesterday. Limited Run Games canceled a customer's orders, refunded his money, and banned him. Here's why. On November 20th, 2019, it was brought to the attention of Jeremy Hambley, aka The Quartering, aka my guy, that Limited Run Games had canceled a fan named Brybot's orders, refunded his money, and banned this customer from ordering future games. Jeremy went ahead and put the information he was sent together and made a video blasting Limited Run Games for their behavior. I have actually watched this video, in fact. After speaking with several people who are in the same Facebook groups as Brybot, I can 100% say that he did in fact get banned, had his orders cancelled, and was refunded. That is not being disputed by anyone. However, the why is not because of a meme like Jeremy Hambley states in his video, but rather for spreading false information. Let's look at the facts. So the story as I understand it is that this person named Brybot was posting memes to, I think, a fan Facebook group that was run by Limited Run Games, or Limited Run Games was involved, it was about them or something, and an employee named Sarah from Limited Run Games, she decides to post saying, I enjoy trolling as much as the next guy, but just a heads guy, I thought, well, I'm not going to assume your gender, I guess, but just a heads up, guys, spreading false info and using company assets is likely to get you banned, if not worse. Uh-oh. So what did they actually do? So this guy, Brybot, he made a meme, which is what The Quartering asserted in his video. Now, the actual situation is that Limited Run Games is releasing Tetris Effect, and that's not really an indie game. It's not really a game that, you know, needs the clout of a company like Limited Run Games. So the joke is that, well, I mean, if they're not releasing games that require a limited run, if they're not releasing games that are indie, you know, why not make it Skyrim? You know? So he photoshopped it to be Skyrim. Or why not make it another game called Return of the Bird King? Well, here it is. He photoshopped that one too. This is a meme. I know the writer of this article said that he wasn't banned for memes. He was banned for, what was it? For spreading false information. But I mean, come on. Yeah, the information in this meme is obviously false, so I guess that's technically true, but it's still a meme. It's still a joke. It's still clowning on Limited Run Games. But that was enough to get Brybot banned. and to have all of his orders refunded by Limited Run Games. And then that same person, Sarah, decides to post this on the Facebook group. Dude, you got banned for exactly the reasons I warned you about. I tried, shrug, but yeah, your orders were refunded from what I can see. Usually takes 3 to 5 days to post back to whatever the original payment method was. Honestly, if I were you, I'd leave it, because if you keep pushing, you're likely to light a fire under our lawyer's ass. There's a difference between free speech and flagrant misinformation. What a fucking asshole, dude. Like, this is wild. Imagine when, like, the big Chungus meme came out, you know, like the really fat Bugs Bunny. Warner Brothers showed up and said, don't you go posting that meme, because you know what? It uses our original assets, it uses our company material. So you know what? That's flagrant misinformation. So the author of this article was technically right, and that, yeah, he was spreading false information, but it was, like, knowingly false. It was obviously false. You know, when, like, some terrible comedian shows up on late night TV or whatever, and they're wearing, like, an orange wig, and they do, like, a really bad Trump impression, and they pretend to be Donald Trump, and they say all this ridiculous shit. No one thinks that's actually Donald Trump. We all know that it's a parody, because that's the context of the joke, is that it's a parody. It looks like the original thing, because that's what makes it funny. So no, it is a meme. And this is Limited Run Games getting pissed at customers for making memes about them. And he goes ahead and he shows off these refunded things, you know? Now you have to ask, how do we know that these are real and not just him getting refunds himself? How do you know he's not just faking all these screenshots and drumming it all up? Well, as it turns out, while I was recording this video, this just happened. From Twitter user WolfDaddyTX. It's been 13 months since you forked over money. Yeah, it's on us to fulfill our end of the contract, but since you want to use consumer protection laws against predators like us, we'll just ban you and sue you. And he's talking about Limited Run Games. This tweet was sent, let's just see here. It was sent about a half hour ago, at least in terms of this recording. Jesus. Let's read this ticket thread of his. Hello, I would like to request a cancellation for this order, as it's now been 13 months since I paid this order, and there seems to be no clear indication from the developers when it will be ready for manufacture. I've since lost interest in owning this game, so I would like to request a full refund of my order, including the shipping costs. Now, in my opinion, that's fair, frankly. If you buy something, and it hasn't shipped in 13 months, in over a year, get your money back, yeah. Then here's Limited Run Games' reply. Hi, unfortunately, per our policy in our FAQ, all sales are considered final. We are unable to cancel or do a partial refund of your order. Link to this below. I do apologize for the inconvenience. Well, this confirms that Limited Run Games doesn't actually do refunds. It is a long-standing policy of theirs that no refunds are allowed. So, I guess that previous guy who has refunds must have come from them. There's no way he got them himself. But anyway, our friend here replies, as per Australian consumer law, when a business accepts your payment for products or services, they must supply them to you within the time frame they have indicated, or if no time frame was specified, within a reasonable time. Please, I'd prefer not to have to pursue legal action. I'd like a full refund. And then Limited Run Games replies with, if you try any legal action, you will be banned from ordering us again. Wow. Take your money, don't deliver the product. And then when you bring up that that's, you know, illegal, they just tell you to fuck off. I have contacted the ACCC, and we'll get back to you once I have received further advice. And then he just says, sure. Wow. Okay. Limited Run Games is a piece of shit company. You know, if it was just one bad event, I would understand it, you know, we all have bad days. But this has now become a pattern of behavior, and it's honestly quite disgusting at this point. You know, this is a company that I had some serious respect for. I've dropped some money on their products in the past. Not nearly as much as Jeremy. Holy shit, dude. I don't know if you're watching this, Quartering, but I saw that collection of yours. That's a bit nuts. I liked Iconoclast, but not that much. But yeah, we are at the point where it just seems like this company is not only run by SJWs, it's run by completely disingenuous people who will shank their own customers in the back for a buck. You know, I'm recording this a day before it comes out. I'm recording it in the evening of last night, in fact. And earlier tonight, I was streaming on Game Boomers Shenmue 3, which is, by the way, a game that I am enjoying very much. But somebody came into the chat room and said, hey Dev, why is it that all of the fans of Earthbound are they all seem to be raging SJWs? And I didn't really have a serious answer for him. You know, I didn't really quite grasp the question, because you know what? I am a raging fan of Earthbound. It's my favorite game of all time. I don't know if you've noticed, but it's in the Super Nintendo in this video's artwork. You know, that is my game. And I had to think about it for a minute. And I realized it's because Earthbound is a game primarily about childhood. And it's bright and colorful. And it really harkens back to a kid growing up in the 90s. But at the same time, it's also a very serious game. When push comes to shove, that game is not afraid to thematically throw down with the best of the adult games, even though it's definitely a game made for kids. And then I began to think, like, we have, okay, the stereotype of the 30-year-old soy boy with the giant mouth as he holds his Nintendo Switch. You know, bing, bing, wahoo. There's definitely a market for stuff that looks like it's made for kids, but adults consume it. That includes Earthbound. That includes Mario. That definitely includes limited run games and most of their catalog. It includes a lot of indie games. And I had to mull over this a little bit, but I think if I had to give an answer to that initial question, it would be that these things attract SJWs basically because SJWs haven't grown up. And I don't know what that says about me, because these things also attract me, and yet I don't necessarily consider myself to be an SJW. And I'm definitely not somebody who is consistently childish all the time. You know, we all have our childish tendencies. We all have those moments where we kind of revert to a very enthusiastic 12-year-old when something special comes along. Maybe it's just a difference between people clinging to their childhood because they don't feel like they have any kind of serious future, and people appreciating their childhood for what it was. And then maybe part of maturity is learning how to synthesize your current self with your past self, rather than simply overindulging it constantly. I don't know, maybe I'm rambling a little bit too much for this video. In any case, limited run game sucks. Don't buy from them ever again. Fuck them. I'll talk to you guys later. I love you.